Okay, hello students. Dear students, in today's lesson we shall learn from the book of Pakistan Studies for class 9, and topic for today's lesson is the ideology of Pakistan and Allama Iqbal. Dear students, we all know that Allama Iqbal is known as the thinker of Pakistan because he is the one who gave the idea of a separate Muslim state. Allama Iqbal awakened the Muslims of India through his poetry, and he is the one who was the supporter of the Hindu-Muslim unity in the beginning. But later on, the biased attitude and narrow-mindedness forced Allama Iqbal to rethink over his idea of Hindu-Muslim unity. Dear students, we all are aware of his famous address of 1930 given at Allahabad, in which Allama Iqbal said very clearly, the formation of a consolidated Northwest Indian Muslim state appears to me to be the final destiny of the Muslims, at least of Northwest India. So this was actually mentioned by Allama Iqbal, that he assumes that the northwest part of India will one day become a separate Muslim state. He further says the life of Islam as cultural force in this living country very largely depends on its centralization in a specified territory. So he said, I therefore demand the formation of the consolidated Muslim state in the best interests of India and Islam. So he said, if it is not done, so this will not be in the interest of India and in the interest of Islam. So this has to be done someday. Once the idea of one nation of India was elaborated or given by the parties of India, but Allama Iqbal turned down that idea. Only one nation exists in the subcontinent. He said, to support his the idea of two-nation theory, he said India is a continent of human groups belonging to different races, speaking different languages and performing different religions. So he said there are nations who belong to different races, who speak different languages and who perform different religions. And it was the prime duty of all civilized nations to show utmost regard and reverence for the religions, principles, cultural and social values of other nations. So this was a very beautiful idea that the world speaks today, the religious harmony that he actually showed and elaborated so many years before the creation of Pakistan. Elaborating the ideology of Pakistan, Allama Iqbal said, अपनी मिल्लत पे कयास अक़वाम मग़रिब से न कर, ख़ास है तरकीब में कौम रसूल हाशमी, उनकी जमीयत का है मुल्क व नसब पर इन्हिसार, कुव्वत मज़हब से मुस्तहकम है जमीयत तेरी. So he supports his idea. He said, don't presume that your nation is like the nations of the West. The people who believe in the Prophet ﷺ have distinctive formation of the nation. So he elaborated very clearly that the Muslims have a very distinctive formation. They have a distinctive identity and they are a very distinct nation, because they believe in the religion of Islam, and they don't think that they are just like the nations of the West, because the Western community depends upon territorial and racial basis, whereas your means Islamic community is strengthened by the force of the religion. He further elaborates the ideology of Pakistan and says, बुत्ता ने रंग बू को तोड़कर मिल्लत में गुम हो जा, ना तुरानी रहे बाकी ना ईरानी ना अफगानी. He tells the Muslims of India to break the idols of color and creed, and absorb yourself into one nation. So, Turani, Irani, and Afghani, the regional status of the Muslims, may lose their existence. So, make them one as a brother, and he creates the spirit of brotherhood among the all nations of the Muslims living in the subcontinent. He further says, एक मुस्लिम हरम की पासबानी के लिए नील के साहिल से लेकर ताबका के काशगर. He considered that the Muslims living in any part of the world form one millat. He said, wherever the Muslims are living, they are one nation. Either they live in Arabia, Africa, or Asia. Therefore, he gave the message to the Muslims living from the shore of Nile to the land of Kashgar to be united from the protection of a haram. So, haram is the most sacred place for the Muslims. So, he said the Muslims have to share their strength to protect the haram, starting from the river Nile, which starts in Egypt and ends somewhere in Tanzania, and to the land of Kashgar. We know these days Pakistan is constructing a corridor called CPEC, and it starts from Gwadar and ends in Kashgar. Kashgar is in the western part of China, whereas 90% of China is living without people, because 10% of the eastern side of China is filled with the 90% of population. So Kashgar falls to the west of China, which is very much unpopulated. So China is trying to establish that part of the world and protecting the world with Kashgar. Dear students, we shall review our lesson. We know Allama Iqbal gave the idea of separate Muslim state, and this idea was given in the year of 1930 at the city of Allahabad in his presidential address at the conference of the Muslim League. Allama Iqbal turned down the idea that only one nation exists in subcontinent. So this was an idea given before this idea. He strengthened the idea of two-nation theory. He said, don't presume that your nation is like the nations of the West. The people who believe in the Prophet ﷺ have distinctive formation of the nation. The Western community depends upon territorial and racial basis, whereas your Islamic community is strengthened by the force of the religion. He further said, break the idols of color and creed and absorb yourself into one nation. So Turani, Irani, or Afghani, which are the regional status of the Muslims, may lose their existence. Dear students, here I have one assignment for you. You have gone through the idea of these questions in the lesson today, and you will be answering to these two questions and sending me your responses in the written form. And your questions for today's lesson are: what did Allama Iqbal say about the foundation of the Muslim millat? And the second question you have for today: what did Allama Iqbal mention in his famous Allahabad address? Dear students, please Attempt these questions and send me your answers. I shall be waiting for you. Thank you.